your whatever integrations that are there on priority. It also makes the results more visible to all the people in the team so that they can be worked upon. And the most important thing is that it helps to apply the best software engineering practices. So here you can apply the best practices in terms of security, in terms of integration of code quality, etc. So this is one of the major advantages of using continuous integration. So agile and continuous integration, I'm sure all of you might have heard, but the thing that excites me personally right now is the third concept, which is voice first technologies. So voice first technologies are said to be the next big thing. Why, you would ask me? So if you ask me what is the best way to solve a problem at this given point of time, I would say it's conversation. So conversation is something that we all do in our day-to-day lives, and conversation is something more natural. And voice first basically helps to solve problems more efficiently and more faster. So one more advantages of voice first technology is that it also helps to improve the accessibility part. So that's about voice first technologies. So coming to the next slide, so I think we all are looking out for data, right? So we all love data. We all love to know about what are the different things which are going on right now in the world of software. So here's a quick fact. So Gartner predicts that 25% of digital workers will use virtual employee assistants daily by 2021. So Gartner, as many of you might be aware, is also a famous research organization, and it has come up with this kind of a prediction, which is really going to affect all of us in the coming future. So this would basically mean that maybe going forward, every one of us would be having a kind of a virtual assistant that we would be interacting with. That is a huge prediction. So coming to the next slide. So as developers or as software professionals, we often complain of a lot of problems. So we do face a lot of problems in our software projects. So what are these problems basically? So what I've done is that I have categorized or clubbed these problems into four different categories, and I'll be talking about each one of them. So the first problem is complexity. So no longer are our software projects are no longer those simple projects where you have a single client and a single backend, and you basically do the communication between them. So it's no longer like that. Right now we are dealing with multiple backends or heterogeneous systems where it can be like anything can be like from an Oracle to an SAP or anything like that. And software projects are increasing or becoming complex day by day. So the complexity is something that it's going increasing as we speak. The second problem is about the team size. So nowadays most of us are working in teams, right? So we have a larger team size. No longer do we work as individuals. So mostly in software projects, it's usually a team of developers who work, and again this team can be either located at different geographical locations across the globe, or be in different time zones. So there's always a larger team size, and this larger team size can also be a problem because then it can actually increase the dependency about between the team members. So I'll touch upon this point in the upcoming slides. But this again is one of the problems that commonly the software developers commonly face in their projects. And the third problem is about the higher learning curve. So what do you mean by higher learning curve? So basically, as software developers, we no longer stick nowadays to a particular technology. So gone are the days where people used to do only the front end or the JavaScript and the CSS and the HTML. It's now more like people do a kind of full stack role where it's like you need to know a bit of both the front end and the back end in order to make yourself come to pace with this world right now. So people try to learn a lot of new technologies to actually keep themselves abreast with the things in the software world. So there is always a higher learning curve in software in software projects right now. And the biggest problem of all is time. So we always complain that we don't have enough time, and all this when it comes to learning new things and solving issues and bugs, all this needs to be done against time, and time basically waits for no one, right? So these are some of the problems that I wanted to highlight. So coming to the next topic, which is about information. So I spoke before about data, right? So I mentioned that data is something that we sort look out for, but data is just a collection of facts. But what we are more interested on is the information. The information is basically how we analyze those facts, right? So what kind of information do we need? So we need information, in all forms, and we need them to be accessed from anywhere, right? So we need to access them. We should be able to access them from our smartphones, from our desktops, from anywhere, and from any device. So that is how crucial information is for us. So if you ask me what are some of the questions that we normally seek answers to in our day-to-day life, I think it's some of these questions. So, like for example, how many test cases actually passed or failed, or when was the last bill delivered? So these are some questions that normally we end up replying over emails, and spend a lot of time in answering these kind of questions. So this is the information that we need. It has to be something that we need on a day-to-day basis, and this basically brings me to the next or proposed solution. So that is how we are going to solve it. But before that, let's see some of the challenges that are involved in building such a solution. So some of the challenges that I have come across in developing a solution like this is something that I wanted to also share with you. So I mentioned in the previous slide that the larger team size can be a problem. So the reason I said that is that in case of larger team size, there's always a dependency and communication. So in software projects, we are working in cross-functional teams. So when I say cross-functional teams, it means people are working in different, like people are belonging to different backgrounds. So you have like a sales, a marketing team, a sales team. So maybe in terms of IT, it would be like you have a tester, you have a developer, you have a UX designer. So there's always some sort of dependency. For example, a developer cannot implement a particular module or a screen unless the UX designer gives him the final approved visual designs. And a tester cannot test that particular module until the developer releases the build for that particular module. So there's always some sort of dependency that exists, and this dependency continues to grow in case of larger team size. So that's why it's one of the challenges that we face. And communication, yes, it has to play a very important role, especially when you have people in your team belonging to different geographical locations and different parts of the world, where even the slightest of miscommunication can actually end up building the wrong product. So that is how crucial communication is. The second point is about the time and cost. Now, when like before we actually implement this kind of solution, we actually start off with building portals, right? So we build enterprise portals to actually like something like similar to dashboards, where we do a lot of analytical stuff and show a lot of graphs and charts. But then we spend a lot of time in developing those portals, and then what happens to them? They remain as it is. So we no longer then update it or maintain it, the way we would like to. So time and cost basically is involved in developing these portals, which if you ask me, it's not required. So this is also one of the challenges that that exist today. The third challenge is about zero manual intervention. So we all would like things to be automated, right? So we are in the age of automation, where no one actually likes to log into a particular system, enter his credentials, then go on to a particular tab, and then start a pipeline, etc. This needs to be automated. So zero manual intervention is right now a challenge, but going forward, I think it can be solved as well. So that is also one of the challenges I would like to highlight. And the fourth and the most important challenge I feel is about the organizational culture and methodology changes. Now, what does this mean exactly? So, in any organization which there is a transition going to happen. For example, if there is an organization that wants to now transition from a waterfall model for a project to an agile model. So this transition is not an easy transition, and it involves a lot of effort and doesn't happen overnight. For example, one cannot transition to an agile model just by doing some creating a pipeline or creating a DevOps pipeline and then saying that okay, now we have moved to agile. But agile, there is a lot of knowledge transfer and documentation and processes that need to be followed before an organization or any methodology change happens within an organization. So that is also one of the challenges that most organizations face in case they have to transition from a waterfall to agile. So now coming to the next slide. So let's now discuss more on our solution. So this is basically the topic that I would like to share. So this is about our proposed solution. So what basically our proposed solution does? So our proposed solution basically helps to create a voice-based communication interface that uses natural human language. So this is one of the aspects of our solution. And it also helps to leverage the existing CI/CD framework. So in this case, I've used Jenkins, but again, it can be extended to any CI framework out there that exposes RESTful APIs to monitor the build status, generate reports, and do a lot of more stuff. So that is also one of the key features. And moreover, it actually leverages the latest AI technology. So here I'm talking about Dialogflow. So Dialogflow is a very popular natural language platform which can basically help to create those conversations with the end user. And this kind of solution basically helps to provide feedback to all those answers that we are seeking, all those questions that we are seeking answers to, without the need of a centralized web portal. So this is also one of the highlights of this solution. So this is how the architecture of the solution would look like. So I have just put this in a kind of a diagram. So I'll explain this. So basically, there are two building blocks. So as you can see, there is an integration block and a fulfillment block. On the left-hand side, basically, we have our agent. So let's say we call it agent Jenkins in this case. So it's like our end user. So the end user who is using a Google Assistant would actually be communicating with our system using an expression. So let's say we says a particular expression. So it will come to the integration block. The integration block basically involves intent matching. So intent is nothing but an end user's intention for a particular conversation. So what happens is that when a particular expression, like let's say I say, give me the list of jobs. So the list of jobs is in this case an intent would be, there will be an intent that I will define in Dialogflow, and then this intent will be matched against the list of intents that I have, and based upon that, there will be some action that will be invoked. So intent matching basically happens at this level. So once the particular action is invoked, normally, like if you go with a standard or a default way of communication, Dialogflow will actually return you a static response every time a particular intent is matched. But a static response is not something that we require in this case. So in this case, we would need a dynamic response. So for that, we use the concept of webhooks. So webhooks are nothing but simply endpoints, you can say, which connect to external services or APIs. So in this case, I have created webhooks that could communicate to an external service, and this service is something that I have deployed on Heroku. So that is a part of the fulfillment block. So these services are basically RESTful APIs that would then communicate with the underlying CI framework. So at the right hand side, you can see I have mentioned Jenkins logo, which basically indicates that these RESTful APIs are basically going to connect to Jenkins. So once the particular expression, or once the user has given a particular expression, the intent matching has occurred and a webhook has been triggered, the service will then basically query Jenkins to get the list of jobs. And once it gets the list of jobs from Jenkins, it will basically relay it back through the webhook back to the end user. So that is how the entire flow will happen. So also one important point to mention here is that the intent matching basically uses two different kinds of algorithms. One is a rule-based grammar and a machine learning algorithm. So Dialogflow actually uses two different kinds of algorithms. And to get the best result, it is said that it uses a combination, or it does a sum of these two algorithms to actually produce a best result. So that is how intent matching is working currently. So this is how the architecture, this is how the overall system would look. And the APIs that I mentioned, so this will be some APIs that we would deploy on a platform as a service. So here it is Heroku, but again, it can be any cloud-based service or any service that can be accessible. And from there, basically, we would connect to Jenkins or any framework like Travis CI or any other CI framework as well. So this solution basically can be extended to other frameworks as well. So this is about the architecture of the solution. Okay. So moving to the solution benefits. So as I mentioned before, I think there are some benefits that this solution would offer. So again, I'll touch upon it briefly. So first of all, this solution basically will be extendable to other CI/CD platforms. So that is one of the good things. It will use a voice first approach. So again, using a voice first approach will actually help you to make it more natural, so you can actually communicate with your end user or the agent. That is one of the advantages that we have. And the most important thing is that it will help you to remotely monitor your stuff. So that is again one of the key benefits of this kind of solution. Okay, so to come to the end of this talk, so if you ask me what is the future of voice-based interfaces, I would say it's really good because there are more number of voice-based interfaces now coming out, and people are expecting it. It's already personalized, and maybe going forward, even like right now there are smartwatches also, but maybe in future there will be more like smart glasses or those things also that might be voice enabled, so you never know. But yes, there is a lot of support going on for wearable devices as well. And maybe one area of improvement would be in terms of security and user verification, but there is a lot of research also happening in this area where security and user verification will be improved like going forward, maybe for voice-based communication. And all this basically will help to improve our day-to-day conversation. So this definitely would be useful to people, especially software developers and software professionals, to basically do things more easier. So that's it from my side. So thank you so much, and I'll be showcasing a demo right now. So if you want to view the demo offline as well, you can go on to this link. So this is the link to the demo where you can actually view the demo video that I have made for the solution. And if you have any queries, please feel free to get in touch with me by email. So this is my email ID. And if you have any other comments or feedback, please also feel free to get in touch. And thank you so much once again to everyone for joining and the GDG Atoma team as well. So let me quickly move to the demo. Okay, I hope you are able to see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes, we can still see it.
Okay, so this is the demo of the solution. So I'll be playing the video and explaining how the solution is working. So as you can see, this is basically the page of our, there's a simulator page of our agent. So let's say I go in and type a particular command. So let's say I say how many jobs are running. So this is basically our expression. So once I say that how many jobs are running, it would basically query the Jenkins CI, and it would say, so it responded saying that, okay, you have a total of 1 jobs in your pipeline, whether I would like to start a build. So here again, you can specify a command or another expression. So yes, say you say start job, you say start job, it says that, okay, please specify the job name. So you can specify the job name. So in this case, let's say hello world is a job name. So once you specify the job name, it will actually start the build for you remotely. So you can check that by logging into Jenkins. So this is how you would go. So you log into Jenkins and you see that there is already a build in progress right now. So this build is basically being triggered from our agent. So yes, so this is so the build has started. So let me move forward. At this point of time, you can actually even query the agent. So you can also ask the agent what is the current status, and it would give you the result as well. So let me move forward a bit so that you can see the actual completion taking place. Okay, so right now the build has completed. So now let's check the status again. So again, it will be another expression. So that tell me job status. So it says that, okay, the job one is hello world and the last build was successful. So, and then you can do a lot of actions. So let's say you want to send an email report for this. So you can say email report, and then it will actually end up sending an email report to any email ID with the details of the job. So again, this is something that you can customize and tweak as per your requirements. But this is how it works through the APIs that I mentioned. And eventually, what will happen is that you can actually do a lot of things. We can actually create like you can integrate with Jira or any other system, external system, to make sure that all the developers are aware and the status report is being sent to everyone. So that is one of the advantages. So thank you so much. I'm done with my presentation. So if any questions, please feel free to ask me. I will be happy to answer them.
Karan, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for the presentation. Do we have any questions? when we started this morning, it was still dark here in New York, and now the sun's finally coming up.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, apologies for for maybe it's since it's not in French, but if there are any questions in French, I do understand French, so please go forward with that. Although I'll not be able to answer that in French, but please feel free to get in touch with me or type any question in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, Afana Barry said, c'est un plaisir pour nous d'assister à cette formation.
Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, thank you so much. Merci, thank you. The slides and if in case you have one, please feel free to get in touch as well. So if not now, then maybe later also, it's okay.
Okay, well, I guess if there's no other questions, we'll say thank you again to Karan, and we'll pass the microphone back to Mr. Kwame. Kwame, je te donne le micro pour les dernières remarques. La grande finale.
Merci à tous. Vraiment, je dirais waouh parce que l'objectif est atteint. Et merci à Karan pour ton intervention. Et vraiment, merci à vous tous parce que là, on a notre objectif qu'on atteint. Et on espère que cette semaine de formation, vous avez appris beaucoup de choses. Et personnellement, ça a été vraiment aussi un plaisir pour moi aussi de rencontrer d'autres personnes et aussi d'apprendre beaucoup de choses. Et on tient à remercier tout le monde. Si vous avez quelque chose à dire, dans l'ensemble, on tient l'équipe GDG Ratoma. On remercie tous les participants. On remercie aussi tous les différents partenaires. On remercie Google Développeurs qui nous accompagnent dès le début. On remercie aussi l'Université de l'Abbé, qui est représentée par le chef du département informatique, M. So, Abdoulaye So. On remercie l'Université française de Guinée. On remercie l'Université Architecte Conakry. On remercie l'entreprise Agra. On remercie le cabinet HDMSSS. On remercie Together. Et on remercie tous nos différents speakers qui ont vraiment contribué malgré la COVID-19. Ils ont eu le temps de pouvoir nous former. On tient vraiment leur remercier. Sans oublier le GDG Cocody et Future Afrique et le groupe TensorFlow de la Côte d'Ivoire, d'Abidjan, qui est dirigé par notre frère Ahmed Yara. Et GDG Cocody qui a décidé de diffuser sur toutes les différentes plateformes depuis le mardi. Et d'abord, je tiens à remercier tout le monde. Si vous avez des subsaharienne francophone et l'objectif est atteint. Moi, je passe le micro à d'autres. Si vous avez des remarques, des suggestions à nous faire pour notre prochaine session, pour la prochaine édition. Ça, c'est notre première édition. Merci. Merci à Church, voilà, depuis New York. Voilà. Merci à Church. En tant que colis, c'est déjà très bien. Voilà. Merci à toi pour ta disponibilité. Et aux États-Unis, ce n'est pas évident. Et vraiment, merci à toi. Et voilà. Le reste, on passe le micro aux autres s'ils ont des suggestions, des critiques à faire pour qu'on puisse améliorer. Et n'oubliez surtout pas, après l'événement, GDG Global va vous envoyer un formulaire pour les rapports. Voilà. Donc, ça va permettre de pouvoir critiquer. Voilà. Alors, vous devez remplir ce formulaire qui est en anglais. Ça va venir, si vous êtes inscrit à l'événement, vous allez recevoir le formulaire. Donc, n'oubliez pas de remplir cela. Merci. Oui.
OK, thank you, Mr. Kwame. Merci beaucoup.